Whoa, buddies, happy day to you. My name's Erik Hatch. Hatch Realty and Hatch Coaching is who I get to represent. And wow, I am excited about this topic because we're talking about teams, building a team, being on a team. Should you not? We're going to dive into all that nitty gritty. I got to tell you, I've had a real estate team since 2012. It's been 10 years now that I've had a real estate team. This crap's hard. This crap is very, very hard. I'd love to tell you that it's super easy, but it's hard and it's not for everybody. In fact, I think most people shouldn't have a real estate team. And that's what we're talking about today, is why you shouldn't have a real estate team. Now, doesn't mean you can't scale, doesn't mean you can't grow, but we're going to debunk some myths here. Some of you that are on teams are maybe watching, some of you that are thinking about having teams are watching, and some of you that are currently running teams are watching. Let me tell you about my world, okay? I get the privilege of running Hatch Realty. We are a teamerage, meaning we are a brokerage only representing our team. Our team is 58 people strong. We're in 5 markets in total, soon to be 6. That is a really exciting time. Whew, love that. We're going to sell over 1,000 homes this year in little old Fargo, North Dakota, and our expansion markets. It's so much fun. We are having the time of our lives, but whoa. It's just been riddled with 1,000 lessons and things that we want you to be able to learn. In addition to Hatch Realty, I also run Hatch Coaching, which is a real estate coaching company. I coach some people that aren't realtors as well, but that's where really our primary focus is. We're working on trying to influence people and making sure that they are treating people exceptionally well. We want to, in fact, redefine how people treat people. So my partner, Robbie, really works on the lead conversion side and how we're taking care of leads. I work on how we're leading our teams. So let's talk about teams. That's why we're here. We're going to say that I don't think that most people should have teams. In fact, the first time I heard that, my friend Hank Avink, he's an amazing guy, and my old Bold coach back in Keller Williams days, he shared on a webinar a couple of years ago that he thought that most people shouldn't have teams. I'm like, what are you talking about, Hank? He's like, well, most people shouldn't have teams. And I kept asking questions, and then he showed me, I'm like, oh man, that's a really good insight. And now, as I've been a real estate coach for 5+ years, here's who comes to me. Okay. People come to me for the most part when they are 5 to 25 people. I mean, some are coaching when they have more than 25 people. I certainly have coaching clients that have more than 25 people. As they come to us, they're in pain. They're seeking out game, but they're looking around being like, why am I so miserable in this job? Leading a team is not for everyone. Because here's what happens is when you're really good as a salesperson, when you crush as a salesperson, all of a sudden, you get a ton of money, you get a ton of accolades and ego building things where it's like, hey, I'm the cock of the walk. I have all my crap figured out. Nothing in my world stinks. And the logical thing, at least what we think is the logical thing, is I better build a team. And we go and build a team the traditional way. And so we bring on an admin or two, and we bring on some agents, and then we look around and we're like, man, these people piss me off. These people make me crazy. Where'd all my money go? If you're watching live, by the way, we have people watching live, we have people watching the recording on YouTube. If that has been part of your story, please just raise your hand or just type into the chat box, just say that's me. That there goes a couple hands up right now. Yep, go figure. It's one of those things that running a team is this like bait and switch. You're so good at selling houses that you jump to this new job, this new role, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this sucks. Here's what happens is there's a bleed in 3 different ways. The bleed number 1 is of your money. See, we think that hiring a bunch of agents is going to solve our problem, that we have so many leads we don't know what to do with, and so we're going to bring on other agents that are going to convert. We're going to get quote unquote free money from that. It doesn't work that way, gang. I'd like it to. On paper, it works that way, but it usually doesn't work that way when you start a team. So number 1 is you lose money. Number 2 is you lose your own personal production time. See, now all of a sudden you're in charge of HR and you're in charge of hiring and you're in charge of training, you're in charge of developing, and you look around and you're like, I don't have enough hours in the day to tend to the business that I'm chasing after, my own personal production. So you're going to lose your personal production. Number three is you're going to lose proximity with things. You're going to get your priorities out of whack. And the reason why is because you're going to have two jobs. Yesterday, you were a producer and a producer only. Now you're a producer and a leader. And whichever one makes the most noise is where you go. I lived in this for a number of years. I've been fortunate to be out of production now, but as a real estate coach, I'm back in production, right? I'm coaching people regularly. I have a number of clients that ask for my time, and I have a number of things in my ecosystem that ask for my time. And so if you're watching this right now, I want to heed some warning to you, and I want you to take note that maybe you shouldn't have a real estate team. You're not going to make as much money as you think. You're going to lose a lot of your own focus on the things you think are the most important, and you're going to get spread super thin and stretched out like Stretch Armstrong. Now, why should you want to be a team leader? That's really the question that we have to lead to. There's a really great book by Patrick Lencioni called The Motive. And in The Motive, it's his most recent book, by the way. He's written over a dozen leadership books, but he says it's the first book you should read if you're thinking about becoming a leader. And in The Motive, he talks about all the things that you have to love doing if you're a CEO. Like you have to love running great meetings. You have to love casting a vision, and you have to love doing one-on-ones and being super interconnected and relational with your people. And if you love production, but you don't love all those things, you probably shouldn't have a team. Now, in addition to that, it's pretty fascinating. Simon Sinek had a quote recently that just stood out to me, and he said something along the lines of, if you're a CFO, a chief financial officer, you know exactly what your job entails. You know where it starts and you know where it stops. If you are a CMO, a chief marketing officer, you know exactly where your job starts and where your job ends. If you're a CEO, can you tell me that job description? Like it's a lot of stuff, and we don't know how to do it exceptionally well. And so if you're thinking about getting into real estate, team leading, it comes on the other side of being really intentional on being a leader first. Lead first, lead first, lead first. And to be a leader means that you have to have your pyramid of priorities in order. Please, if you're taking notes, I want you to draw out a pyramid here. Here at the base of the pyramid, we're going to have 4 sections. The largest on the bottom is the most important, and that is God, family, and self. We make sure that we tend to the things that matter. I'm not here to preach to you about my faith, but I'm also not going to hide what makes me shine. And so my God, my relationship with my creator, my spirituality are massively important. And I have to time block for that. Next to that is my family. My family needs to not get my leftovers, but they instead need to get my best, my intention, my scheduled time. Most of us fail at this really, really regularly. And then there's my own self-care as well, my time to meditate, and my time to journal, my time to exercise, my time to be alone, my time to grow. Those are the foundations of your pyramid of priorities. Above that, the next step, the next piece is your team. And this is where most get it wrong. I remember a local realtor friend of mine reached out a couple of years ago, and he said, Eric, let's go to lunch. And we went to lunch, and he's like, all right, this is the year that I finally put my clients first. He was leading a team of like 7 or 8 people. I'm like, oh, dude, that is the wrong choice, because you don't put your clients first, you put your team first. The moment you bring somebody onto your team and into your ecosystem, they get all your energy, they get your time, they get your training, they get your intention, because the only way you can have the life you want of making more and working less is by success through others. It's the only way. Or is it? Like I have some cool iterations I'm so excited to share with you in just a few minutes, but I want to get this mindset piece out, because we have God, family, self at the base, followed by team next. The moment you have somebody on your team is the moment they need to get the best of you. The next section of the pyramid is business, is clients, right? This is now God, family, self, team, and then clients. This is now your production piece. These people don't get your leftovers, but they're not getting the best of you either. How many of us have this pyramid out of whack? Most of us, right? By the way, if you're at the The top piece of the pyramid now, that's your community. And I think that a really good pyramid of priorities has intentionality on investing in their community. And in fact, you can do that with all the layers. You can do that with your team. You can do that with your clients. You can do that with your God, family, and self. These all kind of intertwine with one another, but I want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for great success. And if you want great success, you have to have your pyramid of priorities in order. So if you're thinking about starting a team, if you don't have your pyramid in order, you're just not going to succeed. They say that the average person stays on a real estate team about 18 months. They also say that the average realtor sells 8 homes a year. Gross on both those. I don't want anybody in my ecosystem that's selling 8 homes a year. I don't want anybody in my ecosystem that's only going to stick around for 18 months. See, I want to play a bigger game and a longer term game, and that might be you as well. You might be wanting and hoping to play this game that doesn't just produce fruit today. It has to produce fruit on a really long accord. So with all that being said, there's a pitch that I have here, and it's not like a sales pitch. It's a pitch of this is how you need to start restructuring and thinking of building a team. The best example I have is a coaching client and good friend of mine. His name's Mike Novak. He's out of Everett, Washington. It's a suburb just north of Seattle. Mike came to me, almost 2 years ago now. And he's like, this sucks. He had built a team. He had 20 or 25 agents. He had built a team, and they all not all, but like most of them were a bit lazy, kind of undertrained, not that motivated. He wasn't that connected to them. Mike was told to get out of production. That's like the tale that people believe that they need to follow is I need to get out of production because I want my time back. See, we balance that. What do I need more of, time or money right now? And if you need more money, you got to sacrifice your time. And if you need more time, you got to sacrifice your money. And Mike is like, I grew this team and it sucks. I'm making less than I was as just an agent in production. Think about that for a moment. So many people are making less money as an agent running a team than they were as an agent in production. They went from being a naturally good salesperson, and then they jumped into a role that they're not naturally good at. Just because you are a great salesperson does not mean you're a great leader. And it doesn't mean that your priorities are in order. It's this blind spot in a lot of our businesses where we think that just because we can climb a tree, we can also swim really well. It's different skill sets, period. And Mike had a bunch of people in his world. He grew a team the way in which he was coached to by somebody else. They're like, hey man, add on a bunch of agents, and that's your ticket to success. Grow this really big army. And Mike wasn't making a lot of money. He was miserable in what he was doing. When he started coaching with me a couple of years ago, we really talked about what it was that he wanted and what he was willing to do. He didn't mind production. He minded the nights and weekends and not being able to take vacation, but he liked the pressure of negotiation. He didn't mind a lot of those things. What gave him headaches was the people in his ecosystem that were exhausted. Think about this. The people that exhaust us the most are usually the ones that are falling below a standard or that are not measuring up, that aren't bringing the right energy and attention, and they're not the hand raisers, the ones you have to drag along. I use this kind of example is if you want to have an amazing racehorse, you can't put him in a stable full of donkeys, right? You have a stable full of donkeys and one racehorse, and that racehorse slows down quite a bit. Inversely, if you have a stable full of racehorses and you have 1 or 2 donkeys, that donkey will run faster than it ever has before. See, having a bunch of agents does not equal a bunch of success, but having the right people and having the most talented people, that's, I think, a key to unlock a big level of success for you. But that's really hard to do as well. And that doesn't happen overnight. That takes years and years. And Mike blew up his team and let a lot of people go, and he kept like 3 agents around. I started coaching Mike in 2019, and in 2020, Mike made 6 times as much money as he did in the previous year with a team 40% of the size. He went from making this much to this much, and his team went from this size to this size. But that's not the full story yet, because I could just talk to you about how you have to have the right team members, and that's nothing new, nothing amazing. But I want to share with you what I think the iteration is, the change is. So I want you right now in your chair to shift around a little bit. I know I can't see it, but I hope you're shifting, because I'm shifting my energy. And we've talked about the pain. Let's talk about the gain. You as the agent in production, and even if you're on a team right now, I'm talking to you. If you are leading a team or an agent on our team, on a team, you are the most influential and important person in your ecosystem. And instead of growing a big, massive team with a bunch of coffee drinking, 8 deal a year producing, mediocre type of talent, we're going to talk about a micro team. This is a hyper-focused, super intimate, really well-connected team. Mike Novak is leading the way on this. I have a couple other coaching clients that are doing the same. Jordan Terrell out of Denver, Mike out of Seattle. Other people are just starting to catch steam. You got to stay in production, gang. Like that's this iteration that we're about to go down. This is not about you rushing to get out of production, because when you rush to get out of production, you get hit with this backhand of, oh crap, where did all my money go? Let's be really honest. If you can get 5 quality appointments, 5 really quality appointments, and you can close all 5 of those in a couple month period, if each one is worth $10,000 in commission, that's $50,000. In our minds, though, we think, I have so much, I better just give this to my agents. And so we're going to give 5 quality appointments to an agent. That agent's not going to close 5 out of 5. I mean, not unless they're super seasoned and really, really savvy. We're going to maybe close 3 out of 5. Honestly, probably 2 out of 5, but we'll do 3 out of 5. We'll church this up a little bit, and we'll say you can do 3 out of 5. 5, 10, $15,000 is what the company gets. 5, 10, $15,000 is what the agent gets. Now, you just made 15 grand, right? I mean, that's your top line number. That's not your bottom line number, but you just made 15 grand. It's like, oh, that makes a lot of money. You could have had 50. See, a lot of us think that we just need to hire a bunch of agents to solve our problems. And then they're undertrained. They're not connected with us. We don't have predictability in the product that we're putting out there. But if we change our mindset, after you get your administrative help, and I think your first couple of hires are administrative help. If you're already on a team that has admin support, you can skip over that because that should already be afforded to you. You should have admin support to start your micro team. After that, your hire is a showing partner. This showing partner piece is a salaried position. There's people out there talking about how the showing partner model is like a commission based, but I think that's irresponsible. I don't think that the commission, giving somebody just commission, is actually solving the problem for them, because we need to concoct a solution that's great for the client, that's great for you, and that's great for the person that you're hiring. It has to be good for all 3. For the client, the person has to be really well trained, really well seasoned, really well versed, and to be a full extension of you. Can you say with confidence that that's a buyer agent? A buyer agent that you hired and put through a week of training? Do you believe that a week of training is giving that client an unbelievable experience? Because I don't. For the team member, for the person that you hire, here's who can get into real estate. And let's be honest, if you magically on day 1 get yourself a new client in real estate, you're a brand new agent, and on day 1 you pick up a buyer, which won't happen. But on day 1, let's magically say you pick up a buyer. Well, guess what? That person is going to be working with that buyer on average for 10 weeks. The average buyer looks for 10 weeks. And the average time something sits in escrow is 44 or 45 days. So we're talking 16 weeks until that person gets their first paycheck. Who is financially responsible enough to go 4 months without a paycheck? Here's who's going to be drawn to that. Somebody with let me do it this way. Somebody with a sugar daddy or a sugar mama. Somebody with a trust fund. Somebody with a second job. Somebody with massive financial heartache. Pinky, the little last one. That's somebody who's financially responsible enough to get into a job and go 4 months without pay. You see how we've whittled down our talent pool to a very, very small portion of people. It's an embarrassing portion. That's who we welcome into real estate on full-time commission. And I'm telling you that the showing partner model is irresponsible if you're paying that person commission only. If you're hiring a buyer agent, you're bringing in this itty bitty person. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for people that maybe aren't as motivated and focused and hungry as they need to be. And so you as a business person need to have your numbers figured out. You gotta have a minimum of 3 to 4 months of operating expenses in your savings account. You need to be able to cover this person's salary. And I pay a showing partner in Fargo, North Dakota. We pay him $2,500 a month as a base pay, a $30,000 a year salary. Mike Novak in Washington is paying, I think, $4,000 a month because their average sales price is like $650,000, different than the $250,000 that we have in Fargo. So we're paying that person a salary. And something amazing happens when you pay a salary to somebody. Here's what happens. All of a sudden you take it more seriously. You're like, oh my gosh, that's cash out. I got to make sure that this person is trained really well. This person is really connected. And when they're on a salary, they're not an independent contractor that thinks that their way is the best way. And instead you can mandate and curate and form for them the best possible plan for them to be massively successful. And this showing partner has 3 jobs in this order. 3 jobs in this order. Number 1, they are to leverage the agent that they're working with. In fact, calling it a showing partner is probably a little bit ambiguous. I just call this person a partner. Right? They're an extension of you because their job is going to be, number 1, to leverage you. So that means they are the nurse to your doctor. They are doing showings for you. They're covering inspections for you. They're maybe dropping off lock boxes for you. They may pick up your dry cleaning. I just throw it in the dryer, so I don't need any dry cleaning picked up. But nonetheless, they're leveraging you, and I would make sure to cast this vision that job responsibility number 1 is to leverage you, to leverage the agent. Responsibility number 2, they're to train, they're to develop, they're to practice. See, we tend to throw our people to the wolves, but like Michael Jordan practiced 99% of the time. He played 82 games a season. How many hours and days and weeks and months and years did he practice in order to play those games? We need to have our people practice more. The fact that you can take a class for 90 or 150 hours and all of a sudden get your real estate license and be entrusted in this business is embarrassing. And we need to change the training, and it starts with our own team. I can't get the real estate commission to change that. I can get my team to change that standard. Job number 1, leverage the agent. Job number 2, to train. Job number 3 is to lead generate. See, we provide our agents an opportunity to earn some extra cash outside of just the salary that they're receiving. For every deal that they bring in, whether it be from an open house or a sphere, we pay them 15% commission. That's off the top. If they go fishing in the pond and serve as the ISA, we give them an ISA cut, about 8 to 10%. But they can lead generate after they do the first 2, after they leverage their agents and after they train. And we say that in our world, everything is earned and nothing is given. Because if you want to earn an opportunity to make doctor money in my world, you're going to spend some time in your internship, and it's a paid internship. You're going to earn your way up. So that 15% is this bonus opportunity. Mike Novak is paying 5% on any deal that his partner touches. So his partner now is getting an extra override because he wants this person to stay in the role, right? You can have all different types, but this is the iteration. And I want to share with you now where I think the showing partner role goes. Because I've hopefully demonstrated for you why it matters, why it changes your ecosystem, why it financially impacts your world. But it has you paying a salary, and you have to be financially responsible enough to cover that salary. I had somebody just last week say, Eric, what happens if, after a few months, I can't pay the salary of the showing partner? I don't have enough business coming in. Well, then they can be an agent, and you can graduate them up. Now, that may stink for them, but frankly, I've never had to do that because having a showing partner buys back for that agent 20 or 30 hours a week. Now, a showing partner, when they graduate, they can do one of, well, realistically, they don't have to graduate. There's 3 types of showing partners. Please write this down. And I use the phrase showing partner. I don't say showing assistant. I use the phrase showing partner. Some states don't allow you to use the language partner, so then you would say specialist, perhaps. We're changing the language to just say, this is my partner. This is my partner, Ed. This is my partner, Dorothy. This is my partner, Dan. So we just make sure that we're using that language partner, because that tells a story to the client, doesn't it? That this person is competent. Now, showing partners aren't writing contracts. They're not negotiating anything. They're representing the buyer and running and making sure that that buyer's needs are massively taken care of. There's 3 types of partners. Number 1 is the lifer. This is somebody who doesn't want to graduate from this position. They love doing what they're doing. They don't necessarily have this huge financial ticker to make 6 figures, but they're enamored and appreciating all that they're doing. They don't want to go and take on the risk of the emotional weight and the negotiations. And yes, they're still working some nights and weekends doing showings, right? Just because you're an employee doesn't mean that you're not working some nights and weekends. And so the lifer is an amazing hire. The next option is the graduate, right? After they check the boxes, after they've served in the role. In our world, you have to be a partner for 2 years minimum. By the way, after you graduate from being that, you make doctor money. So imagine getting paid $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a year to earn while you learn, and then you get doctor money right after that with no student loan debt. Sign me up for that crap. So the second is a graduate, right? In our world, it's 2 years minimum. Most people's worlds are 1, but my world is a little bit different. And then we say you have to have a competency in the role. That's a feeling more than it is an actual hard number. And then we say you have to bring in at least 20 deals from your own procuring. They got to be able to feed themselves. See, in my world, I don't want somebody who's just a baby bird waiting for me to feed them all day. I need them to be able to feed themselves, because I want talent with a capital T. I want racehorses in my world, y'all. I don't want a bunch of people that are just reliant on the company. I want people that'll stand on their own. Now, am I worried about them being flight risks? I'm worried about them being crappy and staying. That's what I'm worried about. And if I treat them really well and build a business that's for them, they don't tend to leave. My average tenure for my agents, I've had my team now for 9 years. My average tenure for my agents is about 6 years. And I have some that are now in their 7th and 8th year. So it's pretty cool. That's pretty good. And the reason why is because we're helping them to build businesses. So you can build this within a team. You can build this if you're just starting out, and you can rehab your team as well to do this micro team. First is a lifer. Second is a graduate. And third, this is the piece that changes everything, is an empire builder. An empire builder is somebody who has qualified for graduation, but they stay on your micro team. You can have your team out there doing things, and that's fine, but have them stay on your micro team. But what you're doing now is you're giving them permission to negotiate and to facilitate the transaction. Your job switches from being the lead negotiator to the lead relationship maker. Let me tell you why. In 2013 and 2014, my last 2 years in production, I did 150 sphere deals personally each. Each year, those years, 149 and 153 in those respective years. When my daughter was born at the end of 2014, I got out of production. So I've been out now almost 7 years. Pretty awesome. But here's what happened is I was doing 150 sphere deals a year. 150. 50 of those was a builder that I had worked on, right? And so let's cut it down to 100. I was doing 100 deals from my past clients, my sphere of influence, and my referrals. 100 a year. In 2019, I looked at my numbers. I'm like, how am I doing? Must be pretty awesome. I did 36. Dang, I dropped 64%. Don't you think that number should have increased? Don't you think that the longer I've been in the business and the more I've marketed myself and the more my reputation has preceded me, that number should have gone from 100 to 200, and instead it didn't. That number dropped and dropped mightily. Why? Well, the reason why is because I referred off all my business to my team members, which is what I was taught to do, which is what we all think we're supposed to do, is we're supposed to just give this at bat to another team member. And when I handed off the transaction, I unintentionally handed off the relationship. I taught my client that I'm not your guy to go to for real estate anymore. It's Mark on my team, or it's Brandon on my team, or it's Emily on my team. And Mark and Brandon and Emily aren't with me anymore. And so I looked around and it's like, how much have I lost from 2014 to today because I didn't have the relationship anymore? I handed off the transaction and I unintentionally handed off the relationship. We're talking millions of dollars of lost opportunity just from their own personal production, not counting the referrals I would have gotten, not counting the growth that I would have had. I should be at 200 sphere deals annually right now, but I screwed up back in the day because I just handed my business off to somebody else. And if you think you're going to have a team and hand off your business and have future business tomorrow, you're wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And there's a better way that we have to do this. And the empire builder keeps that person on your micro team. And the goal is to keep them for a decade or more. So as they graduate up from the partner position, they stay on your micro team. They get the clients under contract. They negotiate the deal. They represent them throughout the transaction. What I do is I'm going to schedule out as me being the rainmaker, as the micro team leader, whatever it may be. I'm going to schedule out that every week for 2 or 3 hours, I'm going to contact all my clients that are currently in escrow and those that are working on buying and selling. I'm going to just check in and build a relationship. I get to shake hands and kiss babies. I don't have to deal with the transaction. I can ask a couple questions about it, but my partner's going to be taking care of that, right? My empire builder is going to be taking care of that. And if I can keep that business with a partner, somebody who is exclusively working with me, remember, it has to be good for 3 people. It has to be good for the clients, it has to be good for the team member, and it has to be good for me. I articulated why it's good for me if I keep that around, right? Is I'm going to still do the 100+ sphere deals a year. That's a big, big win. Even if you're doing 5 sphere deals or 50 sphere deals or just company purchase deals, I don't care what it is, you keeping that relationship is super important. So how is it good for the clients? Well, having somebody who is that seasoned, that well coached, that well mentored, and that well served, and they're getting not only me as a relational guide and as somebody who knows what they're doing in this, but they're getting an agent that is massively in production representing them. That is a great win for them. So the question is, how is this a win for the person in the middle? How is this a win for the empire builder, for this partner that's graduated up? I think they win in a number of ways. Number one is they can still make a salary. If they're still making a salary, I think that you can pay them $30,000 to $50,000 a year, depends on your market. And then they're going to be receiving a % of commission on each of the deals that they facilitate from my sphere. So on my sphere, I'd pay them 15 or 20%. But if I do 50 deals, my average sales price in Fargo, where my average commission is about $7,000. If they're getting 15% of that, they're getting $1,000. Right? That's a lot of money. And if I'm going to do 50 or 60 sphere deals in a year, well, that's $60,000 that they're going to get, plus the $30,000 in base pay. So now they're at $90,000. As a job that's not a big risk, as a job that's not them being a lead converter. There's so few hunters out there, and there's so many gatherers. There's far more S's on the disc profile than there are high D's on the disc profile. There's far more nurses than there are doctors. And yet we're consistently in this industry trying to make a nurse into a doctor. We're trying to make a gatherer into a hunter. And it's irresponsible, and it's financially going to bankrupt you. Then I'd pay this empire builder 40% or so on their sphere. So any buyer or seller that they bring in, they're getting 40%. The company's still making a ton of money. I'm still making a ton of money. I'm still servicing my clients and still staying in a relationship with them. I challenge you to do the math. I challenge you to take your average commission, figure out the number of deals you're doing right now. And then if you add an empire builder into your ecosystem, and maybe they even have their own partner, what happens if you keep all that commission? Maybe you're paying 15 or 20% to your empire builder. Maybe you even put them on full commission. Maybe they're making 25% per deal. and then like 45% on their sphere, 25% on your own SOI. When you keep the majority and the lion's share of that cash, and you keep the relationship close to you, and you systemize that, don't do the mistake that I made of not systemizing it. Run the math, figure out what you're doing, how you're getting there, and my gosh, you're going to say, why in the world would I ever start a team? Profit margins for great teams, unbelievable, over the top great teams, profit margins are 20%. The really great ones can get to 30. 30% profit is really great. On $1 million in sales, that's $300,000. You can work a couple days a week, make $300,000 and not be in production at all. Or you can have an empire builder who has a showing partner, and you have a couple of admin, and you do a micro team instead of growing a big, fat, juicy team. You sell $1 million worth of real estate. You're going to give 20% of that to your empire builder. 30%. Maybe you have a couple empire builders. So now you're going to give 200,000 of that million in salaries to pay for 2 admin and to pay for the salaries of your partners. Let's say that's another $150,000. And then you're going to have some office space. You're going to have some lead gen. I think that you get to have $500,000 in your pocket or $600,000 in your pocket instead of $300,000 in your pocket. And you get people that are closer to you. You get people that are more invested in you. You get to keep the relationship, which leads to more referrals and future business. You still are working the same. It's a couple days a week, but you're now spending your time managing less people. Doesn't that sound sexy? You're spending your time more in relationship with folks. You have less headaches in your world. You have more money. How did we not see this before? So I think the real estate industry has taught us some really great models. This one is going to put us on the map, I think. Even if you don't go down the partner, or even if you don't go the empire builder role, and you have a lifer, or you have a graduate, that is an unbelievable way to grow your world and to protect your money and to make sure that you are doing all the right things in the right ways. It's an unbelievable way. This micro team, it changes the game. So that's what I wanted to share with you. If you're going to grow a team, don't grow a normal team, grow a micro team, and follow these steps. What questions do you have? Those of you watching live, what questions do you have? Those of you watching the recording, put your questions in the chat down below, and I'll be sure to respond to that when I see it. As people are hoping to type their questions, and I want to hear from at least 2 or 3 of you as you're typing your questions or your feedback, I want to tell you that this September 22nd to the 24th in Fargo, we have an unbelievable opportunity for you. We are having a summit, the gathering. It's the real estate gathering of the year, happens in Fargo, North Dakota. Tickets are just $799. It is a bargain price for the value that we bring. We're expecting 300 people from all over the country, some of the top teams and agents in the world coming to join us in Fargo. And so we want you here. We want you as a part of it. How can we make it happen? Well, I'll send you the details. I want to get that in front of you. We want you to come to Fargo. It is the summit of all summits. We're diving into this partner model in really great depth, where there's going to be people doing it on great levels, and we can help you grow and massively increase your opportunities in your world. With that, we have a question. All right, let's see here. As a micro team, who would you assign the ISA work to? Didn't hear about the micro team having an ISA. Would the lead agent take care of that as a high dollar producing activity? So I think the ISA is your next hire after you get a really great partner. So Paul, I would say that if you're looking at how to build this, you're going to go admin, partner, ISA. Now, the ISA hire is when you're looking to purchase a lot of business. I think that sphere business, past client sphere of influence and referrals should be touched by you and shouldn't be touched by an ISA. So if you're looking to grow that, the ISA is that next hire. If you don't have an ISA, Paul, you are the ISA. So your agents and their lead production and their lead generation time, your partner could be doing that. You could be doing that. It's just a matter of where your budget models and where all your business comes from. Dan says this: I did a reverse expansion, looking to hire an admin, but thinking I should also hire a showing partner at the same time to be able to manage everything on your plate. Okay, Dan, the admin and the admin and the partner can come at the same time, but the one that needs to help, right? Both of them take things off your plate, but you're going to be better as an agent than you are as an admin, right? So if you're going to be better as an agent than an admin, if possible, get that admin in first, because they're going to button up some systems for you and set that partner up for greater success. If you hire them both at the same time, you can unshuffle that deck. You can find a way to make that work, Dan. But I'll tell you that not having an admin means that you're the admin and you're doing $15 an hour work, and that's just an irresponsible way to do it. I would say that the partner is going to help you with your production in terms of getting your life back, but the admin is really going to help you get some of your life back. So the answer is yes. I mean, like, yeah, do you hire both of them? For sure you should. Just make sure you have the financial capital to do so, meaning you need to have at least 4 months of operating expenses, including their salary, in your checking account and savings. Okay. Any other questions, gang? Otherwise, I want you to come to Fargo. I want you to experience our summit. It is super kick butt. It is the best of the best. Some of you are already coming that are watching this, and we want you to come and enjoy. So Jeremy asked, this is there a list of admin duties that we use? Listing partners can, so a couple questions coming at it. Listing partners, Chad is asking, Mike Novak is watching. Oh, Mike, I was talking about you earlier. Did you hear me talking about you, buddy? How about that? So Chad is asking about listing partners. Does the partner model work on the listing side? Yes, it works on the listing side also. And Jeremy, I'm going to get to your question. Yes, you can have a partner on the listing side also. I think it absolutely makes sense to start on the buy side. The listing side takes a little more skill and a little more nuance. And I think that a lot of that can be worn by an admin first. Mike is currently paying about $4,000 a month for his showing partner. Rich has asked this question. He is in the Seattle area, and their average price point is over $600,000. So $250,000 average price point for us in Fargo. We're paying $2,500 a month. I have a client down in Austin, Texas. Their average sales price where she works is $350,000. They're paying $3,000 a month, and it crescendos up from there. I have a client in Steamboat, Colorado. Their average sales price is $800,000. They're paying also $4,000 a month. Okay, question that comes across here about admin duties. The first admin duty, the very first admin duty that anybody should have is to basically take crap off your plate. I'm talking about transaction coordinating and listing coordinating and runner duties and all those things that are the time suck with the real estate commission and your local MLS and a lot of the admin stuff that's just burying you. Their next job is to create systems around all these things that needs to be documented and processed, because it can't be all in your head or all in their head. It has to be documented and processed. That's what the first admin does. Your second admin hire, this is your person to help you grow. The first one helps you breathe. The second one helps you grow. So now that's really chasing after database and helping to do some lead generation things, building great relationships, continuing to build on systems and marketing plans. So hire one, hire two. Hire one helps you breathe. Hire two helps you grow. All right. Question is, are you guys believe in getting rid of the bottom level houses as we grow? Also getting rid of rentals. Chad, good question. We don't do rentals in Fargo. I don't have to deal with that. The price is just too low, so I don't mess with that. People, when you have enough business, you just give the rentals to the new folks so they can carve their teeth and get a little bit better at that. As for getting rid of low price things, we give low price things to new people. We make sure that we have a deep enough roster and a deep enough bench where that our top folks don't have to chase after $20,000 things. We'll chase after $20,000 commission, but not a $20,000 house. All right. With that, gang, I think I've answered almost all the questions except for, can we do the summit in San Diego? Dan, we're going on the road, man. We're going to do some things on the road for sure. It's just not happening right now. we're concentrated in Fargo. We do have plans at the end of this year. We're going to be offering some more virtual things, and then plans next year that we're going to be hitting the road and bringing some value to different neighborhoods. So we'd love to do that all over the place. That's it, kids, we did it. I hope you learned something. Hope you're walking away saying, I got to hire a partner and I got to think about doing this empire builder thing because it's going to change your world for forever. We want you to do that. We want you to come to Fargo. We want you to go to hatchcoaching.com, follow along. It's going to be great. With that, I'm going to stop recording. Thanks, everyone. This has been fun. I like y'all.